Extra Time, June 10th, 2019. A huge show for you. We are going to France. Not us, but Jordan Angeli is on the ground talking U.S. women's national team as they try to go back-to-back in the World Cup. Meanwhile, on the men's side, the sky is falling. Are we Chicken Little? Yeah, what? Who? What?
Forget you guys. First of all, we'll stick to the women, which is positive, and also the men is more positive than what you guys have said.
Okay, we do have the favorites from each of the Gold Cup groups we will go over, as well as a new campaign slogan for Major League Soccer. What is it? Lionel Messi 2021?
No, Valentin Sabella right now.
Woo! Florida Soccer Soldiers. Extra Time starts now. Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS Studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Matt Doyle, David Goss, and he lives. He is alive and rocking swag from Talisman from his many travels. Calen Carr, welcome.
Yeah, Calen, there's been like a huge running theme of like, does he work here anymore? What does he even do? I didn't even know you were gone.
Really? You didn't notice me? That's even worse.
Yeah, bro, that's how you are. You just float in and out. You do your thing. I'm saying I was never worried. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh, that was like that was a
one day
backhanded way of saying I miss you.
The only reason I knew you were gone is because your Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And like you're living a life out there.
Yeah, Doyle, you like the Instagram, huh?
I do. I live vicariously.
You got a newsletter. You got a Twitter account. I didn't know you were on the gram, too.
Email newsletter. Yeah, I'm kind of on the gram as like a personal thing. Haven't monetized that one yet.
But if he was going to be on, he wouldn't be the Instagram version of himself. We have can we go to the full on YouTube here if you're watching on YouTube? Producer Andres, can we go to the full view here of the studio? No, not us two. Nobody wants to see. Yes, that's the full view. We have our FC Wichita scarf. We also have something very special that we've gotten framed. We should probably put this in the Soccer Smithsonian. This is MLS Reddit going in on Matt Doyle. This will forever sit whenever you're on this show, Matt.
This is a surprise to me.
Just right in front of you. Pep Guardiola, Matt Doyle, we're not so sure.
Have you been stopped on the streets of New York? People confused?
Even Pep wasn't.
Not
so
being
he
confused for Pep Guardiola, no. But I take this as nothing but a compliment. So thank you to the denizens of our MLS for deciding that I'm the budget version of Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have bad news for you. The Instagram versus reality thing. To be the reality part is not the part you want to be. You want to be the Instagram part.
You hate to see it. You really do hate to see it.
But at least he's getting in the conversation.
That's right.
He's got a wardrobe budget to help him out, a stylist. If you had that, I feel like the two worlds would collide.
Oh, you think the only
today
the only difference between Doyle and Pep is clothing?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good first step.
Tactical noose right there.
Yeah.
Same brain.
Ability to
Caleb Porter
inspire
feels
people.
the same way. Yeah.
Similar.
I do inspire people.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the same direction that Pep inspires.
Yeah.
people.
No.
If Pep had a Twitter, you're the Twitter version, actually.
Ooh.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
None of these are compliments. Coming up, Women's World Cup. It has
Wait,
kicked
they're
off.
not?
The U.S., Canada. Actually, Canada probably has already played by the time you're listening to this, but Jordan Angeli is going to help us get caught up on everything going on with the U.S. She is in France. We'll talk to her in just 1 second. Gold Cup favorites, 4 of them, 1 from each group, A through D. The rest of the preview coming on Thursday, along with perhaps, we're working on it, Gregg Berhalter and Tim Howard right here in the AT&T MLS Studios. U.S. men's national team, we're going to deep dive this thing. 2 losses, 2 friendlies, a lot of people getting pessimistic real quick. MLS, final MLS before the Gold Cup break, it happened. There were some great games, some interesting results with those, Open Cup, and then the Mailbag. But yeah, the Women's World Cup is here. How have you guys been enjoying it?
Awesome.
Canada, Cameroon, today on Monday.
I need soccer at all times. I'm currently streaming.
Yeah, I mean, in case you weren't used
Japan,
to that, he's going to be doing that.
So you know
the rest
exactly
of
what time we're recording this show.
Can we talk about that French team?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That made me nervous. That made me very nervous.
Handled their business quite easily against
by the way,
Korea.
Quarterfinals. The way the bracket's set up, if France wins their group, which they're gonna, and the U.S., if we win our group, quarterfinals.
In Paris.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Just start prepping for Wendy Renard right now, and a lot of others.
How do you
prep for her?
I was trying to think who on the women's team would be able to match up.
Becky Sauerbrann's probably the second best center back in the world. She's the best.
Sure, but she probably doesn't have quite the same size.
No, I don't think so.
I think you need to kind of put two on her.
Yeah.
So maybe someone on front and then Becky behind her so she can't kind of cut away. But there was really no contact. She had a free run-up, Renard did. Yeah. And that just can't happen.
And that wasn't the only moment of quality from France.
That's just set pieces.
Yeah, they seem to be the favorites right now. Of course, the U.S. have aspirations to win their second in a row.
For the U.S., though, Germany started slow. England started slow. We don't know the Canada result yet. So everyone else is kind of taking their time to settle in, except for the hosts, who everyone, I think, is
Christiane didn't take time. She got a hat trick. There was a darling, though. Jamaica, we love the story.
Jamaica played some ball.
Yeah.
Sydney
Schneider, loved that too. 19 years old, still in college. A hero in goal for the Reggae girls. Italy with some dramatics, knocked off Australia. Let's get to Jordan Angeli now, though. This is our AT&T call to the field. We're going all the way to France for it. Jordan, what's up?
Hey, guys. You didn't say the town that I'm in, and it's Reims, France, but it's spelled Reims.
That's
pronounced Reims.
See, you're helpful there.
I was just going to say bonjour.
Yeah, we didn't say that because we didn't want to butcher it. You obviously know extra time sort of bits, let's call them. You're on the ground in France, though. What's it like? Take us behind the scenes. What are you doing?
It's incredible to be here. It all just came together in the last couple last couple weeks, really, and it's been so much fun. So I traveled. The team has been here in Europe for almost 2 weeks now, just acclimating to the time zone and getting ready and prepared for the tournament. But I came just a couple of days ago, and I am going to be covering all things fan experience here, which is going to be a blast for me. So I am going to be outside the stadium getting shots for their Instagram account, which is all about the fans, called @since1913. And it's going to be fun. I just get to hang with the fans, talk to them, see where they're from, and then go into the game and watch and see the U.S. team hopefully dominate this tournament.
So that's like
a job?
The plum gig.
This is a job. I know. This is a job, you guys. It's real.
All right. So the group stage, Thailand gets it started for the U.S. What do you need to see from the U.S. women in these first three games?
You know what? I think it's a really interesting start, right? You start with Thailand, who is a team that not a lot of people know much about. And it's a team that you could look at and say, okay, this should be a cakewalk for the U.S., right? But I think what's important for the U.S. is going into it with this mindset that they typically have, which is, it's game time. It's time for us to go. And I want to see them off to a quick start. I think that quick start and getting some goals early in this game allows them to utilize their 3 subs, right? Get 3 subs and get some more people with as many playing minutes as possible, because as the World Cup starts to go along, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So I think the more people they can utilize in this first game, the better, really. And then I think all eyes go to really Sweden, the last game of group stage, because we all remember back at the Olympics who knocked us out. It was Sweden. So this is historically has been such a big game for the United States and has been a great matchup. These two teams like to play. Sweden has the technical ability to do a lot of good things on the ball, on the field. And so can the U.S. start to get a little bit of momentum heading into that game against Sweden? And then, this is what this team does best. They get to the knockout stage, and then it's like they turn into these robot humans who are like, we must win, right? Their mentality of winning is incredible. And I think for me, that's the reason why I can never bet against them. This is a squad who knows how to win when the big moments come. So it's exciting here. The fans are starting to arrive. A lot of people staying in Paris, but now coming out to Reims to probably taste some champagne before the game, but also to get ready and prepared for the game tomorrow.
Perfect environment to hang out and get ready for the World Cup. You talk about that winning mentality. We know about Alex Morgan, Becky Sauerbrunn, Carly Lloyd, who will probably start on the bench, Megan Rapinoe. Those players we know about. We know that they can do that. Who are the X factors, though? Who are the other names for people who don't, follow this team day in and day out, who you're looking for to step up?
Lindsey Horan. I believe that Lindsey Horan is one of the most intelligent footballers that's playing the game right now. And she allows the players in front of her that you just mentioned in Morgan and Rapinoe and Heath to use their creativity, right? And to get in these goal scoring places, because not only does she do the defensive work, but she's a player that she can have that late run into the box and score a head goal. She can distribute in the final third and make that perfect pass to slip through a forward. So I think Lindsey Horan is going to be so key for them. But their midfield in general, how do they defend as a unit? How do they protect the back line, but go forward with that vigor that they have, right? They can really fly forward and add to the attack as well. But all eyes for me on Lindsey Horan.
4 years ago, just a couple blocks away, there was a victory parade. This is the defending world champion, the U.S. women's national team. So they will win again. They will go back-to-back. If what, Jordan? What has to happen?
This team needs to surround themselves with this belief that they can do it. You know, there's a lot of outside expectation, and there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, is it as good as that team? Do they have the defensive qualities of that team? And I think when you look at it and break it down, I think they absolutely do. And I had the chance of going to the press conference with Julie Ertz and Alyssa Nair earlier this week, and a lot of questions about the defense, a lot of questions about Alyssa Nair and confidence. And for me, Alyssa Nair is the goalkeeper for this team. I've seen her grow. She was on my team in the Boston Breakers 8 years ago, and her growth and ability in the last 8 years has quadrupled. She has become a stellar goalkeeper. So her confidence and performance going into this tournament is at a high. And I think that riding that and keeping each other, you know, just keeping the focus on themselves and not having this outside distraction. A lot of them talked about deleting their Instagrams and their Twitter just to be here. And, you know, it is such a different world than even 4 years ago. So I know some of them didn't do that, but a lot of them just keeping the focus on themselves. So I think just play as a unit and get the players that they want streaking hot in these first couple of games, right? Get a couple of goals under their belt so they're feeling good going into the knockout stages.
You've been around this team basically the last 2 years as they've gone about this process. What do you make of the feel around these players right now? What do you see from them in terms of where their mentality's out or where they feel?
It's interesting that you asked that question, because I feel like this team is so different than other national teams that I have been around, been with. They have this youthfulness to them with a mixture of this experience. And when people talk about the women's national team, they talk about this mentality that they've always had, right? It started before the 99ers, and it's grown through. When you go into camp, it is like serious business. And I'm not saying that it isn't like that now. They can flip the switch and get to that serious business. But these youngsters have brought a little bit of silliness and goofiness to the team that I think allows them to live in this in between these two worlds of like, okay, this is fun, right? But we're competing hard and we're doing what we love. We have the will to win. So I like that. I like the mood around the team where they can kind of live on that edge of both fun and competition.
They have expectations to win. Canada trying to get there first. What are the expectations for Canada, and what's the player to watch? Is it anyone not named Christine Sinclair?
It's hard to say that, right? Like, how can you not say it's Christine Sinclair? She is just a few goals, I think 3 right now, away from tying Abby Wambach 4 to get the record all-time international goals. So it's hard to not say it's Christine Sinclair. But for Canada, I think for them, realistic expectations, this is a good squad. I just wonder if they have what it takes in those key moments to go all the way, right? To win those big games. If they're down a goal in the knockout round, in the quarterfinals, in the semifinals, can they figure out a way to win? You know, when you think about that with the U.S., me personally, I automatically say, yes, they'll figure it out, right? Canada, I don't know if I feel that same way. But what they need to do to get to that point is they have to serve Christine Sinclair, and a lot of that comes from Ashley Lawrence on the wing, Janine Becky on the wing. And the player for me to watch is another midfielder. It's Jessie Fleming. I don't know if you guys watched this girl play, but she's a midfielder, 21 years old, and she is swaggy. She's a baller. She can do things on the ball that a lot of people can't do, and allows the creativity creativity on this Canada team to be up a couple levels. So watch out for her.
Follow Jordan Angeli in, I'm thinking Christine Sinclair. I got her on the brain. I'm like, 181 goals. Follow Jordan.
I had 181 goals.
Yeah, we all wish that. Follow Jordan on the ground in France. You can do that at @since1913. That's the fan page for U.S. Soccer. She's taking over. Before I let you go, though, Rapids, 5 unbeaten, 4 of those wins. Let's go. What's happening?
Oh, you know what? I think I hope it's not me being gone because I haven't been home for a lot of those games. But honestly, the moment we got Lawless Abubakar, he has changed this team. The first game, I watched him play in the back, and there were little moments of leadership that we had yet to have where a good play happened. He went up to that player and like patted them on the back or like got in their face. He's a leader, and I just am like all about this guy. So I think he helps. And I think it really was. You have to get that first win. And then things were going to change after that. Confidence has built. And I am liking this, you guys. I am liking it.
It's not bad, huh? Champagne in France, Colorado Rapids winning while you're gone. Everything's going Jordan Angeli's way right now. You can follow her on Twitter, Jordan Angeli. It's kind of like a mismatch of the two names. We'll put it out on our Twitter account. Go check it there. And since 1913 is the fan page for U.S. Soccer. Jordan, thank you so much for dropping by here. Have fun.
Thank you, guys.
Big thanks to Jordan for taking a break from champagne and croissants, as she said to us. During the break. It's a tough life for her in France right now. But she did say, Calen, that many of the U.S. women's national team players are deleting their Instagrams and Twitter to stay focused.
That's the LeBron move.
Can we count on you to do the same?
Absolutely not. No way. And why are they doing that? I've been having so much fun following along. I don't know. But I can understand why. The LeBron move is kind of like going into the playoff mode. You want to focus and really be
cut it down. I think the LeBron reference is at least a year old right now. Just gonna say you've been stuck on the road.
It's a Kawhi move.
Yeah, posing in front of graffiti walls, and this is what we
the North, baby. We the North.
You are a big Toronto guy, though, for sure.
Yeah, I love Toronto, so I'm in.
Yeah.
I thought you were a Montreal guy.
No, I'm everything, but I'm a big Toronto guy.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
Hummus above all, and then things
here.
below that.
The only thing in the world
you can't put me in a corner.
The only thing in the world David doesn't like is us. That's pretty much it.
He fakes it.
And mayonnaise.
And that's a fair one,
which
too.
might be similar. So
wow, I don't like mayonnaise. Are you kidding me? You're gonna label me with that broad brush? That's messed up, man. Let's talk Gold Cup. It starts on Saturday. There are 16 teams in this edition of the tournament, up from 12 from years past. The top 2 teams in each of the 4 groups move on to the quarterfinals, and then, of course, you know what happens from there. They all play for the title, which historically only 2 teams win, which is the U.S. and Mexico. Canada have done it once.
Throws sunglasses on the field and
oh God, so many classic moments in CONCACAF. Canada won in 2000. They've got big dreams here, but today we are just talking favorites from each of the group, which means we're not talking Canada because they are in Mexico's group. But the weird thing about favorites in this tournament, Dave, is it's kind of obvious, but it's kind of all up for grabs.
Yeah, so you go into this tournament, and there's a reason it was set up where, one, Mexico are the favorites. They are the clear, by far, best team in the region right now, and the group they're bringing is still probably the best group in this tournament, with, I think, a little bit of a clear barrier between them and everyone else. Then you talk about the U.S., and we're going to get into it more, but what's happened the last 2 games. You look at a Costa Rica group, which isn't really bringing through another big generation right now. A lot of the guys that are major parts of this team are still part of that golden generation that went through in 2014. And you've got guys like Borges and Ruiz who are 33, 35 years old. It doesn't feel like they're a team ready to storm through this. And then you've got a Jamaica team that maybe isn't their best group. And you've got a Honduras group that's similar to Costa Rica. They've got guys in their 35s like Maynard Figueroa who are still starters. And they've got young guys like Elise who you're not sure if they're ready to take over this tournament. So it's like normal, as usual, USA, Mexico, and then at the same time, it's completely unnormal because there is no groups right now solidifying themselves to push through to be at their best, it looks like this summer.
Now, the thing with Mexico, and we'll start off with them, Group A favorites, no doubt about it. Apologies to Canada, but I think you'll understand in this case is that it is El Tri, and they have stars, but they don't have nearly their entire group of stars. You're talking Carlos Vela not there, Chicharito, Tecatito Corona, Tricky Lozano, Hector Herrera, Ache, Diego Lainez, Miguel Layun, and more. Those are guys.
Get Lainez out of there.
Oh, come on.
He hasn't earned a tenth of that. So he should not be mentioned with those guys.
Okay,
yet.
fine.
But your point,
but he's still a huge talent.
Yeah, he's still a huge talent. Your point stands. This is Mexico's B minus team. They're still clear favorites. They're really solid at the back. I like their young midfield. Like Eric Gutierrez is not like a match winner, but he's he moves the game around and he allows honestly he allows the attackers to be better. And when you can give everybody 5% more, that makes a big difference. And then they do have a match winner. Like Raul Jimenez is the best forward at this tournament.
Yeah, you have Jimenez and Guardado. If you're going to your B group, those are still some pretty good names there, Premier League and Eredivisie. And so I just think when you
La Liga now.
La Liga, oh yeah. When you look at this is a little bit of a test of depth, and I think that's where the U.S. has failed so far, and where Mexico is still a step ahead. And why?
They have Rodolfo Pizarro, and we've seen what he's done in the tournament. Yeah, in the Champions in the Champions League the last couple of years, he's been freaking amazing.
I think this is his tournament to put his stamp down as. When you look at the group, and you guys named all of them, he's the pure chance creator in that group. And when you have Gutierrez and Guardado around you who will cover ground, and they have a good backline, that's the best part of this group with Edson Alvarez. You've got Diego Reyes still in this group. We've got I
love Montes. I love Cesar
Montes.
Montes.
Who finally maybe gets a chance to break through. He's been a pro for like 5 years. He's only
21.
22. Yeah. So I think this is the one for Pizarro to show that he can be that guy, which is what we've seen in a lot of years with Mexico is like they'll bring a group that has some veteran pieces and then one or two young guys where you're like, can this be the one where you break through? And it was kind of Gutierrez last tournament. It was on him and Chucky Lozano to be like, are you guys ready?
They didn't quite do it.
No, they didn't. So now
but Tecatito did in 2015.
Yep.
So, yeah.
2015 was the last time they won this. The 7-time champions of the Gold Cup are Mexico. That is the most all-time. The U.S. has 6. This is Tata Martino's first tournament in charge. Hector Moreno might be out of this thing, and there's like a bizarre thing going on with the roster right now, Dave. Because you can't make changes from that 23 unless you have injury issues, but you can only do it from the preliminary roster, which
40.
Apparently, Tata didn't really want to take advantage of.
Yeah, there's something where he said like he didn't want players to feel like they were close if they weren't actually going to get called in and be confused. So rather than name 40, he named 26 because they're not adults who really know how to operate, I guess, in a functioning world. And so he can only draw now from that 26. If Moreno's out, he's now lost 2 players to injury. The only player he can add is Uriel Antuna from the LA Galaxy. So
it's not a like-for-like replacement in any way.
No. So shout out MLS and LA Galaxy for getting another player on the roster. But it was a bizarre scenario, I think, from the beginning. And he came out early and announced 26. It wasn't even like, okay, I'll bring 40 into a camp and I'm not going to
and then
put them on
down,
a roster.
But at least we can go back to them. But they know they're not going to come probably. But hey, in an emergency, maybe we can.
Yeah, name a dozen veterans who are like, okay, just break glass in case of emergency, and he didn't do that. It is really strange, a little bit of mismanagement from Tata Martino. That said, even with the mismanagement, even with the short roster, even with playing, they're clearly the favorite.
Well, I think that's part of what it is. I think it's just like, these are my 26 guys. I'm riding with them. I'm not worried about losing one here and there, or I think what he was making is saying you might lose more by trying to name more of a bigger roster and just picking the 26 and riding it out.
Yeah, but what happens if Raul Jimenez takes an injury?
Ooh.
Honestly, like, why not just have Uribe there in case something happens? Like, we see it every Gold Cup. Somebody pulls a hamstring. It's usually Josie Altidore.
No,
but like what happens to? It's just, it was weird from Tata Martino.
That's the TBD there.
So and you end up in a situation where Moreno's probably your starting center back, and Alvarez is probably your starting D mid, and Diego Reyes can play both those positions. So if Moreno's out, he can't play D mid now in place of Alvarez. He's probably your starting center back. They do have Araujo. They do have Cesar Montes, but it's both the injuries came in a similar part of the field, so it kind of puts them in a weird spot.
Canada, Martinique, and Cuba are the other teams in Group A.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll cover them in depth here. But Mexico, the favorite to run through this thing to get to the final, and then, of course, the U.S. on the other side of the bracket as CONCACAF generally builds these out, a.k.a. always. Jonathan Dos Santos is the one MLSer on this team from the LA Galaxy. He did score against Ecuador. They won 3-2 against Ecuador. They beat Venezuela 3-1. Tata Martino has beat 4 South American teams while in charge of El Tri. They are the favorites in this tournament. They're the favorites.
This is the first time they've ever won 4 straight games against South American teams.
That's pretty good. I think U.S. might take that. We might be okay with that. What do you think?
I think they should rehire a source.
We are definitely going to dig into the U.S. extremely deeply, so stay tuned for that one. Let's go to Group B, though. Costa Rica is our favorite out of Group B. Haiti, Nicaragua, and Bermuda are the other teams here. You mentioned it, Dave. This is sort of an aging Costa Rica squad. This is not the 2014.
Name,
what?
Alvaro
Saborio.
You got it.
Woo! He's back. He unretired. What? Awesome. Weird. CONCACAF. I don't get it.
He's 37 years old. He came back in 2018 for his local club, I believe it was, in Costa Rica. I didn't even realize this. I thought he had completely retired from the game. He's been scoring goals for fun down there, and they are so thin at the youth ranks. And we've seen this in like the 17s and 20s over the last few years. Costa Rica's had nothing. So they're bringing back their legendary 37-year-old target forward.
This is what you call the Blas Perez.
Absolutely.
I love this.
100%.
The I am the shining light of my national team, Central American center forward that you just can't get rid of, but still scores goals all the time.
Carlos Ruiz.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like a tradition.
Carlo Costly.
Yeah.
If you look across,
I
mean, Carlo Costly wasn't even playing for his club team and playing for the national team constantly. He didn't have a club team.
Yep.
So Blas Perez, you couldn't kill that guy.
I consider Carlo Costly first and foremost a Houston Dynamo legend, but obviously,
hey, he scored a winner to take us through to MLS Cup.
So MLSers on this team for Costa Rica: Francisco Calvo, Alan Cruz, Kendall Waston, Giancarlo Gonzalez, and Ronald Matarrita. Their best finish, second, back in 2002. They lost to the U.S., but it's a perennial knockout round team. I think quarterfinals and like 10 straight here. They also lost in the semis to the U.S. last time around in 2017 as the U.S.
no
went
Keylor
on
Navas
to the title. No Keylor Navas is a big one because that's like the equalizer. That's the potential eraser.
He's the greatest goalkeeper in CONCACAF history. Like that's.
Whoa, really?
Is there any question?
I don't know.
Like
I hadn't really thought about it until just now.
To like Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, Casey Keller, but they're not Keylor Navas.
All right.
How many Champions League?
First of all, don't disrespect
fair.
Jaime Pinedo on this show right now.
Sorry. another.
No, that's a solid point.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, it's hard to argue.
If you look at this Costa Rican team, they're so old. They have they have so many guys.
Instagram versus reality.
Yeah, right. they have so few guys who are under the age of 25, and the guys in that 25 to 29-year-old age, they're not exactly match winners.
It's Tejada and Campbell. Those are the two that you're hoping, like, can they take over and carry this next few years for this?
Alan Cruz from FC Cincinnati, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really seen him play his natural position. He's more of a box-to-box destroyer, but since he's been using him on the wing. There are a lot of questions that Costa Rica have to answer.
I think Group B, though, is probably the easiest group, at least the most straightforward. Am I off on that?
I don't know, man. Have you seen how we've been playing?
Yeah, well, there's that. By the way, I just looked it up. 28 goals in 48 games for San Carlos for Alvaro Sabrio. What? I mean, let's go, man.
We might be having this conversation about him in
Kalen?
2021.
Whoa.
I'm just asking.
fired.
I mean, I'm still doing that, and come see me in men's league.
I was going to say, can
Played
we
a
out here.
scoreless draw this weekend.
Yeah, it was
Come on.
0-0. I was a little
Can we
rusty.
send you
The
down somewhere and just get some
travel's
goals
still
out of you?
stuck in the legs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see.
One thing to throw out there is now Costa Rica gets the host games. Jamaica gets the host games in this tournament. That's the first time we've had that. So this is going, I think that is an awesome way to start a tournament for a Costa Rican national team to be like, we have finally reached this point where we get to start at home. We know how impossible they are at home, right? That's a given win off the bat. It's probably the toughest environment to play in CONCACAF. And then from there, you get that energy boost to go in through the rest of the group stage. As you said, a straightforward group for them. So you're looking at a team that probably safely is in the knockouts and can maybe manage the older players in Ruiz, in Borges, in Waston to try and peak as they move along.
Now, they will be on Mexico's side of the knockout round bracket. So that's not usually where you want to be because Mexico generally makes the finals, though they did in 2017. Group C, the favorite I have here is Jamaica. Honduras might be in that conversation. El Salvador is here. Curacao is also in Group C. MLSers for the Reggae Boys: Darren Maddox, Alvis Powell, Kamar Lawrence, Peter Lee Vassell, and Andre Blake. And Leon Bailey is in the team after many years of, let's just call it, drama between his representation, and the Federation.
This is why I think Jamaica are going to be the surprise team of this Gold Cup.
Wait, hold on. If you went to the last final?
Yeah, they went to the last two finals.
That's fair.
They went to finals in 2015 and 17. So
Yeah, they beat the U.S. and Mexico in the semis.
Okay, let's operate as though they didn't.
We haven't been like, even though they've played well in the last 2 Gold Cups, fair enough. I'll take the L on that one. Like, we don't think of Jamaica over the past decade really as being at the same level as Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama even. It felt like they've been passed by all those teams. And I think this is when Jamaica really start to get it back, because Andre Blake's a match winner and Kamar Lawrence is a match winner. And Leon Bailey is now a match winner in attack. They haven't had someone who could do that.
And I think right now, Michael Hector's probably up there in central midfield as in terms of winning that battle, which is what you saw against the U.S. They controlled central midfield, and then they have pieces, as you said, that can win by themselves. Big moments, exciting moments by themselves where you don't need a ton of possession to build up.
It's not really a team that does it with one guy, though. It's not a team where you're like, hey, this guy's going to carry him. If he gets goals, they'll go a long way. Last couple tournaments, it's just been by committee.
Well, there's someone who would say if Darren is scoring, the team's winning.
That's true.
That person would be Darren.
That would be Darren. Darren Maddox would be that
guy. The five best forwards on that team are Darren, and Darren. He spits hot fire.
Yeah, it's impossible not to make.
We got to talk about Ravel Morrison. This is like a weird one, right?
That is a weird one.
I forgot about
I had forgotten about
He's
that.
on this team. Ravel Morrison.
They have a tradition of this, by the way.
Yeah, well,
the Giles Barnes style, like, hey, we're gonna pluck this guy.
Except he was a much bigger prospect than Giles Barnes. He was 10 years ago. He was like the Jordan Sancho or Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, he was like the next Lampard.
Yeah, of the English national team program. Sir Alex Ferguson said, at 15, 16 years old, he's the best prospect he's ever seen at that age, and I think he Freddie Adu'd him in that sense, because the kid was never able to live up to the expectations. He's been a complete journeyman. He played at Atlas last year. Now he's in Sweden. I'm interested to see if he could come in and be an influential member of this Reggae Boys team.
This is why you have to love the Gold Cup.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people are like, it's a little bit too niche for me, but it's like, this is the best kind of niche.
Right.
It's the type of niche where Ravel Morrison pops up out of nowhere.
It's the type of niche where
we talk about Danny Acosta, left back for the Honduras national team.
Florent Maluda plays in a game where he's not allowed to play, and we all just watch for 90 minutes while we're trying to figure it out.
Whatever, that works. This is probably the most competitive group, I think, where anything might happen. El Salvador might pull a result here. Curacao got here via results in the Nation League, so they have something to prove as well. Group C should be very, very interesting.
Curacao, also one of those groups, like we talked about with Guadeloupe and Martinique, where they can pull players who were born a lot that were born in Netherlands, and so you have players playing at high levels across the world that Curacao doesn't have the development pipeline for it, but they still have talent in the team.
Can I say, it's really weird that Curacao puts a lot of players into Major League Baseball? I have no idea.
It's a huge baseball country.
It's like Venezuela.
Yeah, but is it just because of proximity to Venezuela?
Yeah, it must be. I don't know.
Andrew Jones is from there.
Andrew Simmons.
With a U, by the way. Just to
make
sure all
two of the greatest defensive players in baseball history, and it's weird.
We'll go into Curacao more on Thursday. Yeah. I guarantee it. Group D.
For real, though? Because I would.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. No, we're going to go into it. Yeah, Group D. Not going there. Okay. I know you'd like that. That's a Matt Doyle field trip. That's content I would watch.
That would be on the gram.
Group D is Tuesday. That's when it kicks off. U.S. are the favorites here. Trinidad and Tobago. Gulp. Panama, Guyana. Those are the other teams. Warren Creval's Guyana, I should say. Yep. Apologies.
Respect. And Quillen Roberts.
On their name.
Quillen Roberts.
I'm pumped about that.
Yeah. Also, Emery Welshman's Guyana.
Yeah. I'm getting updates from the Guyanese team. They're training in Bermuda right now. Just getting ready. Watch out, U.S.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
I'm jacked up. I think it is their first major international tournament.
It is.
And the game is in Minneapolis, right? Mm-hmm. The first one?
I believe so.
Yeah.
We're talking about the U.S., though. Guyana will be...
But isn't... Sorry.
Yeah, what? You were going to go in more? Yeah, this is...
Guyana are not the favorites, though.
No, they're not. Okay. The U.S. are. They've won 6 times.
But it's one of those... There's a few players who played for the Netherlands or someone that are from Guyana. I don't know right now. I shouldn't have said that.
Come on.
I think that's Suriname.
Bring your knowledge on Thursday. 16 out of 23 players for the U.S. are MLSers. Best finish, obviously, they won in 2017. They're 6-time champions, and they are back-to-back losers in friendlies to Jamaica and Venezuela. 4-0 was the cumulative scoreline there. And people are going... The pessimism is coming out. That's what happens with the U.S. fan base right now. Before we get to Longer term Gold Cup preview. Let's talk about the game, impressions. How'd you feel about it? We all watched it together. You can hear our takes on Club and Country if you'd like. That's before and after every single U.S. men's national team game at the Gold Cup. Pre- and post-game shows on all the MLS channels, so tune in for those. Dave, you actually watched it, correct me if I'm wrong, after the fact. Yeah. So you had the poison in your veins from soccer Twitter.
So rather than watch the game live, I went and sat out in the sun and watched Roger Dahlhauser win the AVP Gold, New York City. Monster block.
What is that?
I don't know.
Everyone who knows beach volleyball knows exactly what's going on right now. And then I went and watched the U.S. game, expecting it to be awful. After hearing everyone talk about how awful, I saw some, but didn't want to read everything and watch the highlights because I wanted to see the game. And kind of watched the game and was waiting for them to be awful and realized it was like the 75th minute and it hadn't really happened yet. They gave up 3 bad goals. They were the only 3 shots on goal that Venezuela took. 2 of them were probably down to the fact that Aaron Long hasn't played in 7 weeks, and one was Zach Steffen Howler. Those are terrible, and we are at a point where we can't have that with our national team. And on top of the last 2 years, I could understand the sentiment. But from a pure soccer point of view, we were better than we were against Jamaica. We were better in possession. We were probably better as a unit in terms of movement and spacing. And we are still missing probably 4 starters going into this Gold Cup and probably 7 of our best 11 going forward. So I watched that game, and there was big moments that we lost, and maybe that alone is enough, and I'm okay with believing that. But when you look at the structure top to bottom, I think it's kind of what you heard from Gregg Berhalter after. It wasn't terrible soccer, but it was a bad day.
Is this where the expectations have gone now?
That's what I was going to say.
That we were better than our 1-0 loss to Jamaica, where we were atrocious, and lost 3-0 to Venezuela, and it wasn't that bad. Is that really where the expectations are for this program?
Maybe. And part of that might be the fact that we don't have a team yet. Like, he's putting this together still. And I gave Jurgen Klinsmann 2 years. So Gregg Berhalter gets 4 or 5 months. And for a guy who we talk about his tactical ability and how much he can teach and how much he can do, he's been with some of these players for 3 or 4 days, maybe a week, some of them 3 or 4 weeks. So to assume it'll be at its best, I think is tough. And yeah, I guess expectations are what they are. This is a Venezuela team that's the best group they've ever had going into Copa America, where they're not going to win it, but they're actually going to be competitive. And I think it's kind of okay to say Paul Arriola isn't 10 times better than Jefferson Savarino, because we see that week in and week out. That's not wild to me. I want more for the U.S. Yes, it's gotten bad. I just think it will take some time, so I'm okay with it taking some time.
Here's the context on Venezuela. I mean, Mexico won 3-1, but also Venezuela finished dead last in CONMEBOL in World Cup qualifying for 2018. A lot of this group was that group as well, dead last.
Well, they
one win in their last 6.
They went to the finals of the last U20. Yangel Herrera, guys like that were just coming through for that team. Jefferson Savarino's 22 years old.
Okay.
Joseph Martinez didn't have a starting spot at a club team. This is the best group. In terms of Rondon Rincon, we don't have to have this debate. And forward, it's the best Venezuelan group.
And that goalkeeper is about to be bought by Barcelona, actual Barcelona.
1 win in their last 6. They just got mopped off the field by Mexico.
They did not get mopped off the field by Mexico. Mexico was the better team, but Venezuela had 30, 40-minute stretches where they were the
That was the Mexico team that we just talked about.
At what point does the score matter to you?
You're right. I don't think it does.
3-1, 3-0, it doesn't matter at all?
In my world, where it's we're all just beings trying to find each other and create space, I feel like numbers are just... they're arbitrary.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the guys that are not with the U.S. right now. DeAndre Yedlin, John Brooks, Michael Bradley didn't play in this game, though he will. Christian Pulisic didn't play in this game, though he will. Tyler Adams didn't play in this game, again, he will. Josie Altidore came on as a sub, changed the game completely for the U.S., but again, go back to game states. U.S. are down 3-0. Venezuela's not going to push in that moment. Sebastian Lletget hurt. Timothy Weah with the U20. So those are all guys that you might say would come into this team.
I'd throw Pomykal in there as well.
Paxton Pomykal, he did well with the U20. We'll talk about them. They lost to Ecuador in the quarterfinals of the U20s. Here's what Gregg Berhalter had to say afterwards when people were asking him, hey, do we have to change personnel? Do we have to change tactics? He said, quote, we need to be calm. You kind of alluded to it. Doyle, I want to hear what you think. Are we getting sucked in by the drama that kind of has been endemic with this team for a while now throughout the Jurgen Klinsmann years, certainly in the transition moments, certainly Kuva and missing the World Cup, the coaching search afterwards? Are we overreacting to results when this is a very much, or could be, a trust the process moment?
In a vacuum, you could look at it as a trust the process moment. I do think that Gregg Berhalter is a very good soccer coach. I think that he showed an ability to figure stuff out with the crew, with a team that was not super talented. He was able to figure stuff out and get them playing not just good soccer, but winning soccer for most of his tenure there. As and getting them to be more difficult to play against in the center of midfield. And I think Gassman made a good point. I didn't write a single negative thing about Jurgen Klinsmann until 13 months into his tenure.
Well, you had that just off the jump, huh?
Yeah.
You knew that date.
I did, because I had to go back, because I was like, was I crushing Klinsmann 5 months into, and I was not. And you know what it came after? A loss to Jamaica in World Cup qualifying. So a loss to Jamaica in a friendly stinks. It was terrible. The loss to Venezuela, not as bad, but still legitimately terrible, and it's dispiriting. But any coach in this point in the cycle, coming from where we come from, has to get at least one tournament where you give them the benefit of the doubt. That's in the vacuum. The frustrating part is the bigger picture. Like, why weren't we doing this last year? Last year was the time to try the janky and potentially groundbreaking new system. Like, we missed the World Cup. We should have had a coach in 2018 who would have been trying all this stuff, so that we would have been closer to the finished product in 2019. So we could have started taking real steps forward instead of it feels right now like we're still at rock bottom. We hit it with Kuva and we're still freaking there. And that's really, really tough. And then on top of that, our biggest issue, Aaron Long was part of it. He had a miserable game, a miserable half. But our biggest issue is we don't get pressure to the ball in central midfield.
Yeah,
we don't. It looks broken, and we have it's that being our problem, and Tyler Adams being very obviously a one-man solution. But it looks like we're not going to play him in central midfield. And I've written, and I've said on this show, and I've tweeted, like, I get why Gregg Berhalter's doing this, because you have Bradley as the 6 conducting games and Adams sliding inside, and then you have 2, 8s or 10s in front of him. It creates these types of angles and all that, and it all looks so good on paper. But if we can't win the ball, we're going to lose every game. In the modern game of soccer, if you can't win the ball in central midfield, you lose. We saw it with the U20s against Ecuador, and we've seen it 2 games in a row with the U.S. national team. So, system, in a vacuum, missed the World Cup. This should have been done in 2018. Personnel. We have to get the personnel right.
How do you manage Tyler Adams then? Okay, how do you manage him in this tournament? 'Cause he's played 2 games since the end of March. He's been out with that adductor injury. He's still not with the team. He might have joined today, but he wasn't with the team for this game. You can't just throw him in probably at this point, but you need him.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one, and you got to remember he went through a long spell. I mean, he's a young guy, but he went through a long spell of playing with his MLS team. Now just coming in with the national team, that's also a new thing. Playing international football for him is a new added matches to his schedule. Then goes to the Bundesliga, steps right in, had an incredible season, but now nursing something. So he's not going to play right away. I think they're even basically said he's not going to play in that.
This is his only break, basically. Because right after the Gold Cup, he'll be straight back in with Leipzig. It'll be another long season, and it'll be World Cup qualifying. I mean, this is their only opportunity to rest him, so I get it.
Yeah, but he's a singular talent for us, and I think as far as getting pressure in the middle of midfield, I agree with you, Doyle. I think he belongs in the center of the park, and I think when you look at the strength of the roster overall or the weaknesses of it, I think Nick Lima has done a good job at right back. I think he can play that position, that hybrid role. He's proven that now. He looks like a guy that can compete in that first team, which would allow Tyler Adams to play in the middle of the pitch.
And then he pushed Michael up to the 8 at that point, right? Like if you have Tyler Adams at the 6, you push Michael up. Michael Bradley's played as an 8 before. He played as an 8 this year for Toronto against the Union in like the second game of the year. He scored 2 goals.
I'd still keep Bradley at the 6, allow Tyler just a little bit in front of him to kind of go and do where he wants to go. And then that also allows Christian Pulisic to move out to the right wing, where I think is his best spot on the pitch. So I think this one shift might make a couple other places better in the midfield.
But he's listed as a defender. So what's the like prediction here? Is there a time at the end of the tournament or in the group stage or whenever it happens when Gregg Berhalter says, you know what, I set this up for Tyler Adams to be a right back to play this hybrid role, but you know what, we got to go back to him in central midfield. Does that happen, or does he stay dogmatic?
No,
with
it depends on the results, but I think his idea is he has to build something from the ground up, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it, and he's invested a lot of his time in this. So the way the team is structured, the way the players have learned how to play together, because none of these guys have ever played together before, because it's not like a coherent group that we've had in the past, is set up that way. So if he's getting results through this tournament with it set up that way, and he genuinely believes that at the international level, my advantage is that Tyler Adams can do things that no one else can do, and therefore when you look at two teams and it's 50-50, I get a little extra weight on my side because of the way Tyler Adams plays here, then I think he's going to stick with it for the next 3 weeks if it works. If it doesn't, it becomes a question mark of how dogmatic are you to this idea where you have no experience. It's not like he was a U17 international coach and was like, this is how the international game is. This was Gregg Berhalter being a good club coach, looking at his talent with the national team and saying, I think that this will give me the best advantage. But he's still only been in this job for 5 months. So the question becomes, if it doesn't work, how locked in is he to this one idea? Because it's okay to say, I was wrong on that one, but we have 10 other ideas that we're going to run through and go for.
Can I make one point here? We have seen this system with Tyler Adams just once so far, the game against Ecuador, and it did work. We absolutely smothered Ecuador. They couldn't do anything against us defensively. So as much as, man, these last two games were brutal, and they don't mean nothing, and I thought your take was generous, David. We do have one positive data point that suggests that Berhalter's really onto something. That said, I think the way that he's getting to this system is sort of ass backwards in that you get the basics down first. Play a 4-3, play a standard 4-3-3. You can be completely possession heavy doing that. You can move the game around. You could be inventive, and then once you have that down, where you can just plug and play almost the entire pool, then start doing the funky stuff. Don't do the funky stuff right off the top.
I don't think it's that complicated that of a system. When you really look at it, I mean, these players can understand things pretty quickly. So for the right back to tuck in, I think
spends 1 week in Portugal and suddenly he's.
I don't see the mistakes we're making as players overthinking things or not understanding their positional sense or awareness on the pitch. To me, the problem really is personnel. We don't have the same depth as a Mexico. We don't have the same depth because of this old generation that's kind of been pushed aside, where we can play an Alejandro Bedoya in a match like this, or bring in a Dax McCarty or some of these guys. They've kind of been set aside for now, at least. So now it's been tested a little bit, but I think things do change where a Tyler Adams can figure out what that hybrid right back position is. We've seen Nick Lima already figure it out. You can see how Christian Roldan plays that a little bit more advanced role in front. I think Tyler Adams could fit really well into that space. I just don't think it's that hard to understand for these guys under a short amount of time.
So the one thing I would say on this is it's not just personnel. I think right now there's an issue with mentality in terms of, and you talk about getting close to the ball, just like winning your duels and winning your battles and having any level of energy to the way you play. And I don't know if that goes down to the talent that exists that doesn't have that, or in terms of maybe just the way the messaging's coming through. But Tyler Adams will bring that. And I think if he brings that, it'll be infectious. So whatever position he's playing, he's going to be a huge addition to this team. I think Michael Bradley's going to be that as well. So you start to see now.
We saw it with Josie, too, when he came in.
Josie, right. and Dwayne Holmes. It's why Dwayne Holmes is like, Dwayne Holmes might not be a good soccer player. Like we don't know. We haven't seen him do that many soccer things in his U.S. national team appearances so far, but he's played with energy, and that has changed the game for the better for the U.S.
Christian Pulisic, we barely mentioned his name as well.
Yeah. Sub him in for Georgi Mihailovic in the Jamaica game. Things are going to be a little different.
Yeah.
But hey, look, it's time for us to hyperventilate. This is the U.S. national team.
Pulisic, it's nice because he actually had a decent run to close out the year in the Bundesliga. He hasn't been in a U.S. camp where he's been playing serious minutes. I mean, obviously, he hasn't really been in a year and a half, which goes to the 2018 thing, by the way. What's Pulisic's best position in the international game? I don't know. Maybe the last 13 months or 20 months, whatever it was, would have been a good time to find that out.
We will find out come Tuesday with the U.S. national team. 2 more shows until then, so we'll be talking about this a lot more. We are efforting to get Gregg Berhalter on the show. We'll let you know if that happens. Let's quickly talk U20s. They lost to Ecuador in the World Cup, the quarterfinals of the U20s. Third straight tournament in the quarterfinals. We've talked about that. Let's talk about personnel. Which of these players could conceivably, in the near term, impact the senior men's national team? Timothy Weah is a given. I think that's an easy one.
Well, you can't take away the givens because there's not that many givens.
That's true. Well, he's a given, so we're making him a given.
Come on,
put him on the wing. He'd probably be a starter for this Gold Cup team on the wing. At least arguably a starter.
I think so. I mean, just in terms of attacking ability and a little bit of creativity and that, I don't want to say cockiness, but like arrogance to be like, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to make something happen right here. I think Pomykal would be an upgrade in one of those two. Berhalter calls them dual 10s. They're more like 8s. But I think putting him in either of those spots, because we need somebody in central midfield who wins the ball, whether it's at the 6 or either of the 8s, and he does that. And like, okay, if you want to have Adams at right back, you put him there, and you have Bradley as a 6, and then you have McKennie and Pomykal as that's pretty tough to play through, actually. So like, I think he would be there. And then the ones I'm hoping for.
I was about to say, Wiebe said everyone name one. Doyle's about to name the whole roster.
Sorry.
No. I'm ready for Doyle to name the whole roster.
The ones I'm hoping, like Chris Gloucester looked really good.
Boom.
And that's a position to need. Left back,
right.
left back.
I don't think his ceiling is super high. I don't think he's like
he's solid.
Yeah. Solid left back, and he's smart. He was able to figure stuff out as the games went along and as the tournaments went along, which was really good. And we really need Richie Ledesma to hit. We really, really need Richie Ledesma to hit, because he's a true sort of central number 10 who's not a great defender from that position, but he's not a defensive liability either. And you could put him there and still have a midfield that's really balanced and tough to play against. Plus, you get that little bit of magic that I don't think like Pomykal or Leggett or McKennie would bring to that spot. And then that allows you to move Pulisic out to the wing. So, and he's on the books at PSV. They spent a lot of money on him already. They basically have to play him this year. If he breaks through, it changes a lot for the U.S. national team.
A lot of TBDs here, but we shall see. The U.S. Open, of course, on Tuesday in the Gold Cup. Let's talk quickly about MLS. Bow down to that man, Ilsinho. What can't this dude do?
Can we cap him?
He can't play 90 minutes probably, but in 30 minutes he will absolutely wreck your team. The Red Bulls in Philly played one of the most entertaining, just helter-skelter games of the season. 3-2 win for the Union after being 2-0 down at home. They're second in MLS on points. They're second in MLS on goal differential, and Ilsinho is clearly a legend.
Yeah.
I mean,
4 goals, 5 assists in 14 games. He started 4 of them. That's 4 goals and 5 assists in 550 minutes.
Yeah. Up, down, left, right.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just a joy.
It's like when I play FIFA and I just hit all the buttons at once.
Right.
And I just, every once in a while, it's like double step over Meg, and I'm like,
ball's in the back of the net. Like, he's actually at his best when 2 guys are trying to defend him.
It's
more
wild.
guys
He
for him to
knocks
deflect
them
the ball
off each other, and then I'm through.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Union, they're on 31 points. They're second overall in the standings, first in the East. They have the second best goal differential in the league. They have the second most goals scored.
They also were down 2-0 at home.
They were down 2-0.
Should have been 3 multiple times.
They had a slump earlier in in May, and it looked like they were coming back down to earth, and they closed out this first half of the season with 2 pretty big wins.
Yeah, we can't praise them too much, though. We want Union fans to stay hungry, all right?
No.
Stay hungry out there.
But you watch this game, Santos and Chibilko, you're getting 0. Not saying they're zeros, but like in this game, they didn't give you anything.
Right.
And Ilsinho comes off the bench and gives it to you. Someone else has to do it sometime.
But the Rapids are giving you everything. Yes. 5 games, no losses after so many games and all the losses. Congratulations
I've
to the
been
Rapids.
here, Lalas Abubakar, since day 1.
Did you see the video? Did you see the video of him in the stands whooping
In
it
the
up with the
supporter
fans?
section.
This is
No,
what
it's
they
dope.
needed after just months of negativity weighing them down. Congratulations to the Rapids. Congratulations, I guess, to LAFC. It's now official. They're sending Andre Horta back to Portugal. That was a big money experiment that absolutely did not work.
Can we just put into context for a moment? LAFC are on pace to be the best team in Major League Soccer, and they have a DP spot that literally didn't work.
Yeah.
That's how good their roster composition is on this. Like, now does that mean they can get way better if they go out and get like a legit DP?
It's going to be interesting to see which direction they go, because I don't think they're going to go for a Vela style in his prime DP. I think they're going to go for another Diego Rossi, which would
that'd be decent,
right?
Which would be
That's all right.
interesting,
Which
right?
is kind of what Horta was supposed to be between.
By the way, we have to rethink getting players from the Portuguese league. Like if you get like a Benfica or a Porto starter, okay. But if you look at the vast majority of these guys, Pedro Santos, Marcelo has been poor.
Did Gerso come though?
Gerso's been good,
but it took him 2 years.
Yeah, it took him 2 years to be pretty good. There's another on blank, João Pedro. The LA Galaxy paid I think $1.5 million for João Pedro, and he's a 6th choice center midfielder.
But
on a team that didn't
LA,
make the playoffs.
give me $1.5 million.
Back in the day, Doyle and Calen came from the Portuguese league. So if you're going to find head-knocking center backs, then we're good to go.
Yeah,
I will say the one day I was at LAFC as part of those travels. One day I went, he was probably the best player at training.
Horta
was. Yeah, I was like, who is this guy? But he's not getting on the pitch in front of Kay and Atuesta. It's just not happening right now. And Blessing,
Blessing killed him.
Yeah,
Blessing just killed him because Blessing's ability to just cover ground and key that press, Horta was never going to do anything like that.
So some MLS action in the Open Cup this week. They enter in the 4th round. Games on Tuesday and Wednesday. ESPN Plus is your home. We'll talk about those more on Thursday once the results.
Calling a couple of those?
Yeah. I've got Red Bulls Revs at Montclair State University.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Pack the house, baby. And then I've got Louisville versus FC Cincinnati.
That's a great
so the
one.
River City rivalry.
That's a really good one.
Coming back.
Yep.
Those are my favorite U.S. Open Cup games when it's an MLS team versus kind of like a hungry U.S.
San Jose, Sacramento.
They had a real rivalry, like in USL too.
Mm-hmm.
Did not like each other, so that not transfers to the U.S. Open Cup. Florida Soccer Soldiers Valentin Sabella, by the way, signed with the Charlotte Independence.
I didn't realize he's the son of
Alejandro Sabella, the manager of the Argentine 2014 World Cup finalist team.
Yeah.
Who's got a galaxy brain solution to the professional pathway. Just Florida Soccer Soldiers. Let's get to the mailbag here. We don't have much time.
Well, so do you want to complain more about the national team?
No.
Cool. Jeff in Tucson says Andrew's desire for table decoration has a simple answer. Issue each host a penknife, and whenever a guarantee is issued, it needs to be hand-carved into the table along with various annual player awards, which everyone seems to forget about. Extra bonus, carve in favorite band names and stick gum under the table.
Definitely Steve, who manages the studio, is never going to allow that. And I would never sit this close to Doyle with a penknife. I'm not trying to go to jail here.
Yeah, no, that's
about the scythe.
Yeah, the scythe was plastic, so we tolerated it.
Don't give our secrets away, Wiebe.
Oh,
Doyle almost brought it out for the U.S.
That would have been a good idea, actually. That would have been a good idea.
Alicio from San Francisco says, longtime listener, first-time emailer. Shout out, Alicio. I don't know if you saw ESPN's power rankings, but they had my Quakes listed as 20th. Is there really 19 teams better than us at this point in the season?
No.
How many editions are we away from being taken as a serious contender? P.S. We got to get Susanna a Quake sticker for her laptop. Where's the Quakes at?
I think I had them around like 8th, 10th. We the way that we do power rankings here is like the whole staff, does their 24 and then sends them to our good friend Alicia, and she compiles everything and writes the blurbs and puts them out. So it is a group effort.
That was ESPN's. That wasn't ours.
Oh, that was ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN's.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about ESPN.
I mean, at this point in the year, don't worry about power rankings. All right, you're just on the bottom of the playoff field. I think.
Don't worry about it, but please click on ours and give us a nice deep scroll.
There you go.
David Mulvihill, listening to you boys and girls discuss Luis Suarez as Inter Miami's first signing got me wondering about other MLS potential signings. By the way, I did not put in all the emails asking if people wanted Andrew to use Luis Suarez as an example for Cam Wiebe because he's like an awful person.
Oh my God!
Shouldn't bring him in. There was a lot of them, and I just
show him the goals. I don't show him the
those. But since MLS 1.0, I've been keeping a sort of MLS wish list of available big name players on the global scene. I scratch out some over the years when MLS lands one or as the league changes. Through my MLS wish list, there are quite a few players such as Messi, Ronaldo, and yes, Suarez that have notability. But then you've got guys who are free agents. Right? So guys who are out of contract. He sent us a list of them. I can read you off a couple if there are any.
Who are the ones that you like?
So Daniel Sturridge, 29 years old, will be a free agent. Gonzalo
Philly Union. Put Sturridge on the Union.
Put Olivier Giroud on the Union.
Yeah. Giroud's one. Ribery's one. Aaron Robin. Samir Nasri.
Ooh,
31 years
Snood.
old.
Are Snoods allowed in MLS? Do we allow those?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever wear one?
No, but I saw Bill Hamid rocking one at training pretty recently.
But not on the field.
You've talked about Juan Mata in the past.
Yep.
He'll be a free agent.
Diego
30.
Godin is a free agent?
Yep.
Bring Diego Godin to MLS. He would wreck.
He's going to Inter Milan. That's just like the way
he
it
would,
works.
but he would wreck.
Orlando.
Felipe Luis, everybody needs a left back.
So, by the way, if you watch Venezuela, Rondon, also a free agent. Venezuelan, so
really?
probably already owns a home in Miami. Let's assume. That sounds
we
like
do-
that's a Kenwin Jones style
Yeah.
TAM, like crazy TAM signing as an expansion.
Can we do Hatem Ben Arfa to Montreal?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm
Like
done.
as a replacement for Piatti? Yes or no?
I don't think it works that way, but
Well, not a Piatti's leaving, but like he'd have that swag. He would love Montreal.
Leo Messi 2021. Guaranteed.
All right, that's a good guarantee to end the show.
Not
you
to
gonna
Montreal,
guarantee?
to Miami.
You gonna
You
guarantee?
gotta-
Carve
you
it in the
gotta-
table.
That's now the
Carve it in.
headline of this
Carve it in
show,
the
by the way,
table.
on YouTube.
Yeah. Whoa. hey.
I know how this game goes.
Yeah, you do know how the game goes. All right, that is extra time. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll have the other 12 teams in the Gold Cup coming for you on Thursday, in addition to, we hope, Tim Howard and Gregg Berhalter. We will see you then. Enjoy your week, everybody.